Kevin Williams here on the Shore Sports Network, talking high school baseball. Well, sort of high school baseball, but for sure, talking baseball with our baseball editor, Matt Manley. And the fact that we're talking about actually something happening on a field in itself feels pretty good. I know it's been a long time for you to actually be able to cover something in which there was a final score and runs, hits, errors, and all of that. But we have this last dance tournament, which, Matt, I'll be perfectly honest with you. When it was first talked about and the first time I read anything from you or anyone else, I would have, bet $1 to a nickel that there was no chance this thing would happen. But you got to give people behind this credit, because indeed on July 14th, we will play baseball in New Jersey.
That's the plan. And I guess with anything, you have to kind of say, well, until it happens, you can still put that pretty penny that you wanted to bet on it not happening on the line if you'd like. But yeah, I mean, it's organized and it's agreed upon, and all of the paperwork that has to be filled out, and all of the little minutia that everybody kind of overlooks and just figures, let's go play baseball. All that stuff is pretty much covered, and it's organized and ready to go. There's still some field issues to be sorted out as far as where a couple sites are going to be, and there could always be some issue that comes up with fields, but it's organized and there's a commitment to play and there's an energy to play. A lot of players are into this and are going to give this a go, and I think that's going to make it an exciting tournament, because that's, if the players are into it, it's going to be exciting, even if it's going to be like playing a tournament on opening day. So who knows how sharp or rusty people are going to be, but yeah, this is moving forward. And like you said, there's a lot of work that went into this. Certainly, first and foremost, Mike Murray from St. Joe's Metuchen really carried the ball through most of this and got a lot done. So it's something to be excited about for sure.
The name Last Dance, from my era, I thought it was a Donna Summer song, but actually it comes along with the whole Michael Jordan thing that we were glued to for much of this spring, having nothing to watch, but that was that Last Dance. And really, I'll let you clarify this, but more than anything, it was designed to give those seniors who did not have a final high school season a shot to play one more time with their teammates.
Right, and you'll see that in some of the rules if you kind of look at them, because in that first week of pool play, there's really no substitution limits. So like if you want to get seniors out there, I know they're going to try to do some senior day / senior night type stuff for guys on that on that Thursday of the first week. So yes, the design is to give the seniors a chance to go play. And there are a lot of motivations. So you're going to get younger guys who say, yeah, we want to go play, and coaches who say, yeah, I want my guys to play together for a couple games as a high school team because they didn't get to. But ultimately, it's going to be about, any seniors that show up and who want to play and who can play. If they show up, they're going to get a chance to go out there and get some at-bats, get some innings on the mound, and any other involvement they can get, because that is like that was the driving force of this whole thing. Is they're the ones who lost their last chance to play, and if we can give them 5 more games, 3 more games, whatever they get, it would be great.
You have incredible in-depth coverage of this event already on shoresportsnetwork.com. You broke down the different pools or the different groupings involving Shore teams, and then kind of the whole state then kind of focused on what would be the South Jersey teams.
Yeah.
By the way, there are more than 220 teams entered to this point, 36 from the Shore area. But let's clarify a couple things for those who have not taken the time to look into it. It's a high school baseball tournament, but it's not an NJSI AA tournament, correct?
Right. It's not. It's sanctioned by the NSSA. I think I counted enough S's in that. And so basically, the NJSI has been pretty helpful in just kind of clarifying what's allowed, what's not, from what I understand, and in talking to Mike and the other key figures in getting this thing going. So, they clarified that coaches will be allowed to coach once that July 13th date hits. At this point, that's the date when coaches can have contact with their teams again, and that's going to be a big day for them to jump in and join this. In the meantime, they're going to have to practice on their own or with volunteers. But yeah, it's going to be sanctioned by an outside body who, they've come up with a plan for trainers on site, Staff on site, they have a waiver that everybody will have to sign with regard to COVID. So a lot of things have been clarified, and there are going to be temperature checks and measures within the game. If you're not in the game, people will be wearing masks in the dugout, things like that. That I think they're kind of overlap with what you saw from the NJSIA and some of their phase 1, phase 2 planning. So I think you're going to see a lot of that. But yeah, it's not actually NJSIA, so they're not limited by the dates other than that date in which coaches can actually have contact with their players. That's the only date that's really limiting them at this point. But it comes with some other things, like if you look at the brackets, you don't see school names on there for every school. They have to use other names, or they have to the uniforms are going to look a little different because they can't use the school uniforms. So there are some little idiosyncrasies that are different, but nothing that's going to ultimately change the fabric of what the tournament is and what the teams look like. You're going to see what you would have expected to see from teams outside of a couple absences of kids who are away or just couldn't play for one reason or another. You're going to basically see the teams that you would have seen in the spring, at least among the ones that are participating in it. And
correct me again if I'm wrong, there are no combined teams here. It's not like you could take an all-star team and, there could be one team from Freehold or something like that. They are sort of tied into the school roster, but without the school name.
Right. There are a couple of co-ops for smaller schools. I think the two in South Jersey that I caught were Wardlaw Hartridge, which is a small private school in Middlesex County. So I think they're combining with I'm not sure with who. And then the Middlesex Tech schools are all so like Piscataway Tech and East Brunswick Tech. So there are a couple and I think there are a few in North Jersey too. I believe Mike Murray said there were like 5, and they're mostly small schools who, there are some kids who they couldn't get a team together with one, and another school couldn't get a team together, so they just combined them. Right. And there's no enforcement or any rules that say you can't bring on a ringer from another school who's not playing. So if there's a school who's not playing and some kid can go, sneaks onto another roster, that's possible. But for the most part, the idea, and in the spirit of the tournament, nobody's interested in making some super team because everybody wants to give their kids a chance to play and play with the guys they were going to play with during the season. So you may have an instance where somebody ends up on a team that they wouldn't have played on during a high school season, but I don't think anybody's really that interested in bringing on, in forming a super team to win a tournament that was created just to give kids a chance to play another couple weeks.
Right. So this all starts on July 14th, which I think is a Tuesday.
Correct.
And if everything goes according to plan, we'll end on July 31st. But if you can
July 30th.
July 30th.
Yeah.
If you can give me the Reader's Digest version of the concept of how this thing goes about, how the pool play starts, right. And then when we get to what would be the bracket that we're most familiar with, one of those brackets.
Yeah, so you're building toward a 16-team tournament in both North and South Jersey. So you're trying to get down to 16 teams in each half of the state. The South Jersey is where all the shore teams are assigned. But before that, the teams are split into pools of 4. There are a couple 6-team pools, which make things a little bit more complicated, but it's essentially the same thing. And in each case, in most cases, each pool is kind of paired with a sister pool, I guess I'll call it. The tournament organizers were calling the 2 pools together pods, so I was using the word pod and describing it. But you can kind of just describe them as like these pool pairs or like sister pools. So what you do is in your pool, normally in a pool play for like the World Cup or in college baseball, you would play each of the teams once. So you would play, if you're in a team of 4 pools, you play each of the other 3 teams once. But in this particular scenario, what's happening is in your pool, you have seeds 1 through 4. So like if you just take the first pool listed in South Jersey is the brick pool. In the brick pool, you have Jackson Memorial's team is the 1 seed, Jackson Liberty's team is the 2, Brick Memorial's team is the 3, and Brick Township's is the 4. And so the 1 seed Jackson Memorial plays the 4 seed Brick, and Jackson Liberty, the 2, would play Brick Memorial, the 3, in the first round. And instead of just having a predetermined schedule, the first day of games is going to determine what the second day of games is. So the winners of that first day of games play each other. The losers will play each other. Now, effectively, it's going to be a single elimination proposition from the beginning, because if you lose that first day, you're not going to advance to the 16-team tournament. So let's say it goes chalk and the two Jackson schools win, then they'll play each other the next day. The winner of that will be 2-0 in their pool, and they will play the 2-0 team from their sister pool. So, and then the winner of that game goes to the 16-team tournament. And the way it works is you will be playing 3 different teams in that pool play. So if you lose your first 2 games, you'll play the 0-2 team in your sister pool. Now, there are a couple pools that don't have sister pools, just because that's, the number's not perfect. It doesn't work out. So there are a couple pools that will actually play each of the 3 teams, and whoever has the best record or best run differential will come out of that pool. So, and then the pools are numbered 1 through 16, or 16A, 16B. And so they'll pair up. The 1 pool will play the 16 pool in the first round of the knockout round, and then 2 plays 15, and so on and so forth. So if you look at it a little closer, it sounds kind of complicated, but when you look at it, it's, you basically play, you play the first game, then you play the winner of the other game, and then they pair you up with some other 2-0 team to figure out who goes to the next round. And it's all situated like that.
So pretty much to get into the bracket of 16, and let's say the South Jersey bracket, you would have to go 3-0.
Pretty much, yes. Unless you're in a pool. If you're
doesn't have a sister, right?
Yeah, if you're in the 16 pool in South Jersey, it's possible that you could go 2-1 with the best run differential.
Right.
But if you're paired up, if you have a pool that's paired up with another pool, you got to go 3-0.
Okay.
Yeah.
And even if you lose, you're going to play 3 games.
Yes, you're guaranteed 3 games to be played. So if you lose your first 2, you'll play the 0-2 team from your paired up sister bracket.
So, it's almost like any other tournament format, because in most tournaments, whether it be the Shore Conference tournament or the state tournament, once you lose, you're out, right? It doesn't really matter.
You can't win the tournament. In most cases, if you lose one of those first 2 games, you can't win the tournament, or you lose any game, you can't win the tournament. The only difference is they've guaranteed that you can play 2 more.
Right,
so if you're just looking to get out and play and you get picked off in that first game, you still have 2 more chances to play games, to go try to win, and go, just go put your tools out there and have fun for the last 2 games, as long as your fun isn't contingent upon winning a trophy at the end.
All right, a couple quick things here. The nature of baseball in tournament play is a lot of times teams will save their best pitcher to try and have him in all, let's say it's the state tournament or whatever, we'll go with our number 1 in the state tournament. If we're in the county tournament or the Shore Conference, we'll use our 2 and we'll hope to get away with it. When you're playing as many games in a row as these teams are playing, you really can't do that. So there's going to be a little bit of a luck factor. I mean, a team that sort of sits their best pitcher could get knocked out real quick just because.
Sorry, Steve Meyer was trying to call me. We can scold him later.
He's never important. Don't worry.
Yeah, I mean, there was going to be a pitch limit in this at first, but they ultimately decided that there really aren't that many coaches nowadays who are going to try to ride a pitcher, especially in a situation like this. So the belief is that, everybody's going to be pretty careful with their pitchers. And when you're looking at it, it's going to favor the teams that just have a bunch of pitching. So yeah, there is a luck factor, but it's going to be more of a pitching depth factor, I think. Like, where if you have, and you're going to see more kids get used, because nobody's going to throw more. I've asked a couple coaches what they think the most pitches you're going to see from one kid in a game. And it's a range from 50 to 70. Like, nobody thinks you're going to see more than 70 pitches from a play. And that's if you go later into the tournament. In the first week, nobody's going to throw more than a couple innings, because it's the first week of scrimmages. You just don't want to run kids out there. But I could see maybe later in the tournament, if you just happen to have that kid who's a pretty good high school pitcher, but maybe isn't pitching at the next level next year, he may say, yeah, you know what, coach, I want to go out there and pitch 6 innings because I feel good. I'm not pitching next year. I'm a senior, and we're in knockout play now, so I want to go as long as I'm effective. So it's possible you get that, but I think for the most part, you have a couple big name pitchers who are going to be participating in this, who do have futures, whether it's next year as seniors or travel circuit or next year in college. yeah, they're going to be limited to like 50 pitches, and coaches are going to figure out when they want to use those guys. Because, yeah, maybe you see them 2 innings on Tuesday, 2 innings on Thursday, but you're not going to see some stud go 7 innings and, strike out 12, because nobody's going to put their kids, they're not going to task their kids with that sort of challenge when they're just not built up at this point.
Rosters are not finalized. Most of the locations are. Now, you alluded to the South Jersey Pool 1A, for example. They're going to be playing at the Brick American Baseball League field, which, by the way, has lights. So I guess they theoretically could play some night games there.
Yeah, you're getting some of that.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. And again, because rosters aren't finalized and because, pitching may be sparse in terms of how many innings you use or how many pitches you let your big guy throw. Give me 3 or 4 teams from the Shore based on where they're situated that you think could make a real run here.
Yeah, I mean, I would stick with the teams that were ranked highly in the preseason. Jackson Memorial's team is going to be really, really good. The expectation is that they'll have pretty much their high school roster. Initially, Coach Frank Malta wasn't sure if he was going to have Matt Potok and Zach Crotchfeld, who are both pretty high D1 players who are not seniors this year because of travel ball. But now that this tournament is finalized and there's a schedule, those 2 players have, basically made themselves available. And the situation with them is they can both hit, but Jackson has so much senior talent in their everyday lineup, and that's probably what they're going to do in this tournament. They're going to hit seniors and pitchers. It's all hands on deck. So if you're an underclassman who can throw 1 or 2 good innings, you'll be available. So those 2 guys will be pitchers, and it's one of those things like, I'm available Wednesday this week, so you'll throw Wednesday, or you're available Thursday the next week. We'll set aside 2 innings for you that day. So, they're going to have their roster at their disposal. They're deep, they're senior loaded, they have a lot of leadership, a lot of power, especially from the seniors. So they should be pretty good, and they're pretty well situated. It's not an easy pool they're in because Brick's a pretty good team as the 4 seed. Brick Memorial's got some talent, and, Liberty is a rival and perennially a good team too. So Jackson Memorial, I think you start with them. CBA's got their senior group, which is very good. Pat Riley's going to pitch. Braden Hunt's going to pitch. They have some depth with their pitching, which they'll need. But they'll be pretty good with the seniors they have, and they'll be hosting their pool play. The other one is Red Bank Catholic, who, looking at the rosters, I don't know that I would jump at putting them as a favorite. I think they're good, and Shane Panzini will be in the mix too, so you factor that in. But I'm not as sure about their pitching depth as those other 2 teams. But the one good thing they have is they got a nice draw, so they should be able to get through their first couple games and then get to that 3rd game against it would either be St. John Vianney's team or Howell's team, most likely that they would face. And then the other one I'll give you, who I think with Jackson being full, having the full roster, they'll probably be the favorite if you're going to look for one from the Shore. But the other one I like is Middletown South, who is, again, very senior heavy, a lot of pitching depth. They're going to have all their guys, and got a pretty good draw overall. So I would say those 4 teams are probably the ones you're looking at. The other one who was a top 5 team who's in it is Point Borough, who could make a run, but they're not going to have Nick Guzzi for the tournament, which is a big blow. And not so much just that you don't have him, it's that I think if you're going to be relying so much on one pitcher, it's going to be hard to make that run if you don't, put up a bunch of runs and get some help from other guys too. So, they're just going to need a bunch of other guys to step up and take innings. They should still be tough to beat in their pool, and they could still set themselves up to win a game in knockout play. But I think they probably fall on that 2nd tier compared to those other teams because they don't have their best guy.
Right. We can follow up next week. We'll get into some of the early matchups in those pools. One other thing I want to ask you is, what is your general sense over the excitement with this? Not just for the players, but in terms of parents and those who are just starving to go stand on a fence 6 feet apart and watch a baseball game.
Yeah, there's a lot of excitement for it because it's sports. I mean, it's something for the kids to go play. It's something for us to cover, and for the parents, assuming that, by the time this starts, they'll be able to go. I mean, the expectation is that they'll be able to get spectators wherever these sites are. And once these games move to the to the minor league parks that have agreed to host games, I think you'll be able to maybe even get a few more people in as long as they spread out. So yeah, I think there is a lot of excitement. And just talking to people back in the spring, right off the bat, they said there was overall pessimism that there was going to be a high school sports season, a spring season. But the fallback was always like, hopefully we can get these guys something in the summertime. Even if the NJSI doesn't let us play in July, hopefully we can set something up in July, even if it's just one day. So I think the fact that this got set up and it's such a statewide, it's like a state tournament. And we've essentially got something here that is replacing the state tournament in 2020. And a lot of kids are embracing that, and they're thinking, yeah, we would love to have a season to warm up and work out the kinks and, not have to worry about travel ball and high school ball at the same time. But it's an opportunity, and I think everybody on day one is going to look at it like it's a chance to play and it's a chance to go win something. And as you get through that first week and it gets into one and done elimination play, I think people are really going to get into it. Like, we got a chance to go win something. So we'll see what it looks like. I'm interested to see how it plays out. That first week is going to be pretty nuts with 220 teams playing all over the state.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm kind of curious to see how it plays out, and certainly just looking forward to watching some kind of sports. I mean, I guess we're going to get Major League Baseball later in the month, but pretty nice that there'll be some high school games you can go check out if you want to, as long as you get there early, because I'm sure there'll be somebody there telling people to stand far apart, and I guess there's only so much fence space.
Right. Again, you can go on shore.youtube.com. Matt has a couple of outstanding stories up there. The announcement of the pools and the pods, as he said, and then he followed that up with a look at the shore teams, the 36 teams from the shore area, where they stack up, the teams that might make long runs, the teams to watch for, some surprises and stuff like that. And again, Matt and I will chat next week, and we'll really kind of get into those first couple of days that really will define whether you have a shot at this thing or not. We'll look at those opening round matchups and all that. But for now, again, to follow The Last Dance, you follow Matt Manley on shoresportsnetwork.com. Thanks, Matt.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Kev.